Jackie says I improved 0 points from August LSAT to November LSAT. Any thoughts and suggestions? My first thought, Jackie, is that that's just small samples. You know, the August LSAT was 1 data point, and the November LSAT was 1 data point. And yes, they are special data points in that they are on your permanent record or whatever. But if you're focusing on understanding and you feel like your understanding is improving, then I'm not that interested in 1 data point versus another data point, because what could have happened is you got kind of lucky on the August LSAT, and then you got kind of unlucky on the November LSAT. Your actual skills could have improved, but they wouldn't necessarily have shown in just those 2 data points. That's my first hypothesis. I'm super annoying because my first hypothesis is always going to be small sample size. And I know that nobody likes to hear that, but I'm a man of science, and I have to say that that's probably what actually happened. If you studied diligently from August to November, especially if you studied with us from August to November, then I really feel like your skills did in fact improve. But there's lots of ways where that might not show on the day of the test. You know, things can go wrong on one official test. So I have lots of stories about lots of students who didn't quite get it done on their first attempt, didn't quite get it done on their second attempt, didn't even quite get it done on their second or third or fourth attempt. Talk to Matt Dumont. Do you guys know Matt? Matt teaches all of our logic games classes. Matt took the LSAT 5 times, and on his 5th attempt, he scored in the 99th percentile and ended up going to law school for free. So Matt took my class in LA. That's where I met him. Super diligent, super hard worker, hell of a nice guy, really, you know, trying his hardest, but it just didn't come through for him on his first 4 attempts. And then my advice to him always was, well, keep doing what you've been doing. I know what your practice test scores are. Your practice test scores are great. I think you need to just take it officially one more time, and hopefully it'll finally click. And it finally did for him click on the 5th attempt, and he ends up going to a fine law school for free. And that's what I hope for all of you, which means that you might need to lengthen your time horizon on your applications. You might need to study for a little bit longer. You might need to retake it. Good things happen to people who are patient in this realm. So I would, you know, if you want a little bit of a boost, maybe go talk to Matt in one of these classes. I'm sure he'll tell you his whole story, but yeah, it did take him 5 bites at the apple until he finally got a score that reflected his ability. But that's not even anything special about Matt. That's just shit happens, right? And so I work with hundreds or actually thousands of LSAT students over the years. And some people are going to have bad luck on their first attempt and their second attempt and their third attempt. You know, it gets rarer and rarer, but it's not rare when you consider the population being hundreds or thousands of people. Some people are just gonna get screwed multiple times on their official test. Other people, like this asshole here, I took it once and I actually got lucky on my first attempt, right? I scored a 179 on my first attempt, and I had never scored anything close to that on a practice test. I was hoping to get like 173. I wanted to score in the 99th percentile, but 179 wasn't even on my radar. But the day went well for me, and I got my score back and saw 179. Oh shit, okay, well, all right, I guess I'm done. But it doesn't mean anything. It's just like I won that coin toss. Think about coin tosses. Coin tosses is actually super useful, right? Everybody has this bell curve of possible outcomes on the day of the test. You've got a curve, and you know, let's say somebody who's damn good at the LSAT, somebody who's damn good at the LSAT averages like 170, but half of their scores are going to be above 170 and half their scores are going to be below 170. And so it's basically a coin toss. And it's not hard to flip tails once and score below 170. Well, the people who score below their average on their official test probably should take it again. So you flip the coin again, but it's not hard to flip tails again. Again, you score below 170. It doesn't mean anything. Half of the population should score below and half of the population should score above their average. There's 42 people in the room right now. So if you all flipped right now, half of you would, 21 of you would score below your own personal average. And then those 21 would flip again. 10 of you would score below your own personal average. Those 10 of you would flip again. 5 of you would score below your own personal average. And this is solely just due to random chance. This is just math. This has nothing to do with you. It's just the law of large numbers, basically. So even with, there's 42 of us here, but 5 of us would be expected to score below our average on our first 3 attempts, which means you should take it that 4th time. And if you do, then 2.5 of you are going to score below your average. And so you guys should do it again. And, it sucks to be the one who scores below their average over and over and over, but that doesn't have to mean anything about you. Necessarily, someone has to lose that coin toss. And if it's you, whatever, it was bad luck. It's not that you choked or that you're not cut out for this or whatever. I believe in your practice test scores much more than I believe in your official scores, because your practice test scores presumably is 20 or 30 or 40 exams, whereas your official scores are 1, 2, 3, maybe 4 or 5, but your official scores are necessarily small samples. And so your practice test scores are a much better indicator of your actual ability.